shiver in the dark, it's raining in the park. Meantime, sound of the river, you stop and you hold everything.
Welcome to Eugene Cannabis TV. You made the trip. Reverend Will sitting there reading the Eugene Weekly last week. Reefer Medness, a great two-page spread all about the medical marijuana issue and what's happening in the state. All tied into conjunction with the Global Marijuana March. And
get your copy while you can. Get your copy while you can. They're disappearing fast.
That's right. That's right. Reverend Will and I were there, among others. We've got some pictures that will be flashing up, and some of the other people that were there. Some great speakers. Every year I always say, I wonder what Portland and Salem are doing for speakers, because we got the really good ones here. Had some group shots there, and there's Reverend Will standing in the background there. I don't have my glasses on, but that's Art Livermore there on the left. And anybody else you can name, Reverend Will?
Joseph Hempfield and Sean Fleury, the originator of Oregon Green Cross.
That's right. Sean Fleury's been on the Eugene Cannabis TV show before in years past. He's a POW. There's the group shot. Give you an idea how wet it was at times. The rain came and went. Mostly came.
Except when we did our march, which was really interesting. When we walked around the building and walked over to the Saturday market, the sun was out. And then just as we were putting everything away, it started raining again.
Yep. And that was a great finale, too, having the actual march at the end. That was a great, that worked out great. I think that's the way to do it.
There's our friends, Eileen and her husband.
Yes, that's the backside. They were showing their posters to the crowd. That's Eileen Erdelt, and I've forgotten who's on the other side there, but yeah, Eileen came up from California. She's a former coordinator for the Empire Hemp Fest. And there's Kitty Piercy being interviewed. She was came down to gave us our proclamation proclaiming Medical Marijuana Awareness Week, April 30th to May 6th. Tomorrow's the last day, by the way, the Awareness Week. So I'm sure. And there's Danbo. Now there's a real hero. Danbo's been on the show before. Danbo's the one that came up with the idea for Dank Bagman to have a bag over his head, actually. So it was good to see Danbo come back out of the woods and back into public again after his stint there and being incarcerated. And Dave Sieber is the, we call him Mr. Hemp. He and Bill Condi were working together on industrial hemp, and actually went through the University of Washington and produced some hemp fiber board, and did a lot of research in that. And then there's Nurse Ed Glick. Nurse Ed Glick is an activist for many years in the medical marijuana field, and he actually got fired for trying to advocate for medical marijuana for his patients, and he's working now to petition the OMA program to add PTSD and some other psychological problems to the medical marijuana program. And again, there's Sean Fleury, been on the show many times. Sean is a pioneer in the medical marijuana movement. He was growing for multiple patients, not charging him anything, and had, I don't remember the number of plants, but got caught and charged and convicted of manufacturing a controlled substance, and all he was doing was helping patients.
The interesting thing in that was the fact that what the police came in for had absolutely nothing to do with him growing. You know, they came in under false pretenses, just like they have with me and other people, and not recognizing the sanctity of the church. You know, this is one of the things, we really want to honor Kitty Piercy, our mayor, for standing up and taking this risk to let people know that, you know, if you know someone that has cancer or one of these debilitating conditions, and you see the magic of cannabis, marijuana actually helping these people, like Kitty, then you can understand better what we're saying. If you don't have anything like this happening within your family, sure, it's hard for you to understand because you have a government that you're supposed to have faith in, that you put your faith in, who lies to you straight up, just tells you blatant lies because they have federal medical marijuana patients. If you have federal medical marijuana patients, that would imply that the medicine works. If it works, then it can't be in Schedule 1. So according to the things that they've done, they should not be allowed to have this in a Schedule I substance. But getting back to the police, it's just like this thing with Ian Van Ornum, the guy who got tasered. I mean, the video.
While he was laying on the ground?
Yeah, the video shows him laying on the ground with his hands either at his side or strapped behind him. And, I mean, this is the kind of thing that's really hard for us to understand. And when we talk to you about it, you think it's always our fault, like we've done something to deserve this. That's really an old concept, folks, and that really needs to change. The police department needs to be held accountable. Eugene Police Department gave its Officer of the Year award to the police officer who police video showed shocked a teenage pesticide protester in the back twice with a taser while the protester lay face down with his arms pinned or behind his back. What about that makes this man a hero? I don't understand this. The other guy who got this in 2007 was the guy who shot a 19-year-old 4 times because he was crazy and had a knife. I mean, what is it going to take for you, the people of Eugene, to understand that when we ask for a police review board, it's not because we have nothing else to do. It is out of necessity. Lara and Magana are 2 examples of necessity. Ryan Salzberger being shot, even though his parents said that they would rather have the taser around so he could have been tasered instead of shot. Excuse me, folks. You know, I mean, it's just overwhelming that as a veteran, I have to deal with this kind of absurdity happening in my community. I don't understand it, and I won't understand it because it's crap. It's ridiculous. It needs to be changed.
That's right. Back to the Global Marijuana March, we had a picture briefly up there of Jim Gregg. Jim is laid up in his hospital bed. He's suffered from arthritis so badly that he's bedridden. There's Jim. Jim is the main coordinator for the Global Marijuana March, and that's where he worked from, right there where you see him, out of his bed, and pulled this thing together, including getting Kitty Piercy to sign the proclamation, and twice. It happened, she did it 2 years ago and made it a Medical Marijuana Awareness Day.
Right.
This week, and this year she made it a week, and there's Kitty Piercy again. So any chance you can, support Mayor Kitty Piercy. She's our hero. She stepped up. She said that, I read somewhere that she said she had a friend that had ovarian cancer, and so she saw what medical marijuana did to help her friend. So she's a real believer. We've been in contact with her and thanked her for taking that stand, and that we appreciated it and understood the flack she was taking. And she said that she knew she would take some flack and that she didn't care because she felt she was doing what was right. So therefore, she didn't worry about the flack. So a real hero. So we salute Reverend Wills. We give our military salute to Mayor Kitty Piercy. We appreciate what you've done.
So you understand, folks, this whole thing of you think it's easy to get up here, you think it's easy to be the mayor of a city, it's not. But it takes a real belief in the fact that we have the potential to make a difference in order to do any of this. Now, we're going to be taking off in a little bit, and we'll be coming back. When we come back, I'd really like you all to do what you can to grab a friend and bring them back, because one of the things we're going to talk about is a story about a vet who has asked us for some help. And in addition to that, we also have a story about Humboldt County, where the supervisors have decided that they are going to accept a DEA grant.
For eradication.
And also we have the anti-marijuana tool. You know, we talked about can of porn before. Now we have can of chopper.
Yes, we have a can of chopper. We'll be talking about that. So all the exciting things coming up. And yeah, quick note here, we've got the volunteer meetings for the Emerald Empire Hemp Fest every Wednesday at 7 o'clock. Time's getting short, and we're starting to straighten out our database and be contacting volunteers. And so anybody out there, now's the time to step up. Some key positions need to be filled.
So when we do talk about this, we're talking about next week's meeting, because the meeting that has just happened just before the show.
That's true. So, but every Wednesday at 7 o'clock, so put it on your calendar and get it a pencil and paper too, because you're going to be hearing some more information as the show progresses that you're going to want to write down. But we do have a film clip coming up here, and our Dom DeLuise passed away recently, 75 years old, and been entertaining us for years. And a good friend of ours bought a movie clip in, so we're going to be able to watch an old film clip of Dom DeLuise and the comedy. I apologize, I didn't get the name of the movie that it was, but it's time.
Well, let's see if anybody knows can call in or let one of us know exactly what movie this is from.
Yeah, they can't call in, but that's a great idea. I'll tell you what, send an email to Dank Bagman at Eugene Cannabis TV, and the first one that I get, I'll have a special prize for you, and I'll tell you where to come and get it and pick it up. How's that?
Sounds good to me.
There you go. Probably have you come down to Saturday Market, down by Saturday Market in our information booth, and come on up and say hi, and we'll give you that special prize. So the first one, send an email to Dank Bagman at EugeneCannabisTV.org. So
you wear too many hats, Dank.
Yeah, I know. I get too many hats. Can't remember which email address, but any email address basically that you see up there, it'll probably get to me one way or the other. So, but yeah. Anyway, it's always
we're going to be cutting away to that movie now, I believe.
That's right. Well, let's get into that clip and Dom DeLuise and Bon Voyage.
We'll be back shortly.
Do take a hit.
No, really. I cannot. I don't know. Thanks anyway. No, really. Now I'm allergic to fun.
Oh, here, young man.
Nah, I take your word for it, really. Nah, I'm cool.
It's like a bottle of wine.
One must sniff the cork before one buys.
Nah, really. That's it, no.
All right, Joe.
It's the best shit you're ever going to smoke.
Mm.
Good.
You made a pig of yourself, John.
Something for your troubles.
So there you go, Dom DeLuise.
That's what I'm talking about.
We can honor him, but at the same time, I'd like to say, so that's what they lock us up for, right? That's how they think of us. We're just a bunch of clowns that sit around and laugh. Well, I'll tell you, it takes some pretty damn good herb in order to get you to laugh like that, but I've experienced it before. And to me, if that's a crime, lock me up.
Well, it's like you talk about medical marijuana, you know, any drug has a side effect. Well, I like to say medical marijuana has a side effect too, only it's a euphoria, and we can live with that side effect.
We can if we would be allowed to. Put it on the side of a prescription and let me have my medicine.
Yeah.
It's one of the things I have said. I'd like to get back to this one story, though, about this soldier here. This is what he wrote to us, folks. Now, understand, this is the kind of thing, it's pretty rare to get it from a soldier, but this brother's asking for help. You tell me where you think he should turn. In August '06, on leave from Iraq, I had a flashback of an IED from being a driver, gunner, and TC on convoy missions. This caused me to wreck, leading me to be incapable of furthering in my loved career, the military. So the man's talking about being a career soldier. I have a TBI and feel I have been misdiagnosed, saying I do not have PTSD. The medication I was on in 2008 led me to flipping out and trying to kill my mother, which triggered my heart. Now I'm horrified to try any more medications for my mind, especially if I am trying to kill the people I love. A friend of mine was shot right in front of my eyes on November 8th, here in the U.S., sending my mind frame back to Iraq, making it unable to part ways between war and peace. I started self-medicating with marijuana. I have received 2 Article 15s, reducing me to a private, and now facing a chapter, probably 11 or 13, for self-medicating to maintain in my hostile settings. The military has only one problem with me. They do not know how to accept my medication. I know for a fact cannabis works for particular soldiers when it comes to TBI and PTSD. I find it hard to understand. I am getting punished for trying to help myself when they can't. My neurologists try and prescribe THC form pills to me, but wasn't able to because I don't have cancer. I have to be on the verge of death if high quality pill medications are taken from severely wounded soldiers and replaced with cannabis. I feel less suicides and possibly happier soldiers. I know I am. I'll probably be chaptered out on a dishonorable discharge, but if there's any way I can prevent any other soldier from the trials I have gone through, I will do whatever I can. I find it mind-blowing injured soldiers returning home are neglected. I had to change units because mine was still in Iraq. I turned in my promotion points on several occasions in 2007, but the unit I was in didn't care enough to correct them, which led me to not getting my E5 and my E6. I made the points for both grades but did not receive them, for I was a broken soldier and I did not deserve it in their eyes. TBI soldiers can only take so much punishment before they jump for the end. We are like little big kids that no one wants to understand. TBI is a new injury to the world, so what better way to treat a problem is there than by listening to the people with the problem?
Yeah, that's touching. You know, talk about didn't make it to E5 or E6. It's very important in a soldier's life to make that E5 because at E5 you're a sergeant and you get a lot more privileges. E4 and below, you're the ones doing the KP and all the grunt duties and all the crap. So by not being able to make it to E5 is a big deal. Isn't it right, Reverend Will?
Yeah, I was an E4 in the Marine Corps when I got out, and for me they offered me E5, but I knew that in taking E5 I would have been, like he's talking about, chaptered out or, you know, run down to the point where you become a private and then you're just basically a grunt hanging out. So the military does not honor their word, folks, and I'll tell you, at this point in time, watching these soldiers all leave the other day, you know, I had my friend Gordon Sturrock, who has the Vets for Peace bus, and he wanted to go to this event, but he couldn't get any one of us to go with him because whatever reasons, we didn't have time doing something else, whatever. But the reason he wouldn't take the bus down there himself was because he was afraid of how he'd be treated. I want to tell you something, folks. When you're a vet and you're working for peace, and we were rejected when we were over in Walport, and we get rejected all the time by even our own members, that it's just hard to understand why people would rather promote a war and put their children at risk than to work a little harder and through diplomacy and right actions bring peace into this world. I don't understand that. So right now, one of the other things that we were going to talk about is this canna chopper.
Yeah, that's right. This is being developed in the Netherlands, and Reverend Will mentioned this when I told him about it, as did somebody else that said the same thing. The Netherlands, what are they working on this for? It's an unmanned, remote-controlled, petrol-powered helicopter equipped with odors, surveillance, surveillance, and diagnostic equipment, which it said can stay in the air for hours at a time. The canna chopper is said to be able to detect both indoor and outdoor cannabis plantations and will be deployed around the area called I'm not sure to pronounce that,
It doesn't matter.
The chopper has been developed by the Organized Crime Task Force, and the implementation of this latest crime-fighting tool has been greeted positively by German police, who maintain most of the illicit cannabis and hashish produced in the Netherlands is actually destined for German markets. Cannabis cultivation in Holland is said to be worth in the region of $2 to $4 million euros, depending which newspaper you read, but only about 10% of this amount is destined to be sold in Holland's world-famous cannabis coffee shops. The police uncovered a cannabis factory during the first test flight of the mini helicopter in the outskirts of Deutschem. They discovered a cannabis farm. 7 suspects were arrested and several kilos of hemp were intercepted. So you notice that they changed the word to hemp now it's several kilos of hemp. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so yeah, and then I didn't even look. We have a picture of it. I didn't even see if we had that up yet or not. But anyway, yeah, so high tech's going after our freedoms once again. There it is. There's the canna chopper. Gas-powered remote-controlled helicopter. You can imagine, you know, as a hobbyist myself, I know that the helicopter models are expensive to begin with. And then to have a gas-powered one, that has got to be one spendy little chopper, just the chopper itself. So anyway, right here back in the States, Humboldt County.
Humboldt County, you know, at a April 21st board meeting. They had 2 new supervisors, and the 2 new supervisors decided that they wanted to support this. So, I mean, it's interesting, $180,000 to hunt down these people who are growing herb in this place where they grow so much herb. They just say that if they're going to be doing this, then people are going to be renting apartments, redoing the wiring, and they're even going to be doing diesel grows out in the middle of nowhere. Now, we all know that a lot of this is the cartels who are doing this stuff, right? But at the same time, it's like earlier the board chairman, Jimmy Smith, said that the DEA money will also be used for methamphetamine enforcement. Whoa! Clendenden also mentioned that this is actually shared funding for meth eradication when he explains his support for the grant, but the claim was later shown to be only marginally true. How do we know that we always end up having to deal with this stuff? But the good thing about this was later on in that very same meeting, one of the former Arcata councilmen, Paul Patino, asked supervisors for a letter of support for Assembly Bill 390. This bill is the Marijuana Control, Regulation, and Education Act, and it seeks to legalize marijuana and regulate it similarly to alcohol. What Patino wanted was to ask Assembly members Wes Chesbrough to support the bill, which is sponsored by Assembly member Tom Amiano. We had heard about that before. He said legalizing marijuana will stop us from criminalizing ourselves, our kids, and enlarging the Mexican mafia, much like Prohibition did for Italian mafia. If we read history, we know that we're repeating it right here. We're Appalachia, making moonshine.
I remember a few years ago in the news stories that I came across, and the DEA actually admitted that, and I don't remember the figures, but it was well into the 96, 95% of marijuana that the DEA actually eradicates is ditchweed.
I believe that. I believe that. But at the same time, you know, it's one of those things, they shouldn't be eradicating any of it, because if you have patients out here and you don't have the medicine, what sense does it do? You're withholding medicine from people who have a medical need. Now, what makes anything about that okay? You know, I mean, we've tried to talk to the police chief here, Chief Kearns. If you would like to talk to us, please come on the show and let's have an open discussion about why it is that the federal government has more control of our police department, other than the police union, in this city than the people who you actually work for. Because the people of this city said, get us our medicine, okay? And when you take it and you burn it in an incinerator, you are not getting that medicine to the people. Now, if you can't figure out how to do that, believe me, we have people here who can help you. The whole thing is, it's just like thanking Mayor Piercy, but at the same time, my humble request to the mayor is to make Eugene a place where people can feel that they will be protected from the federal government, just like we used to have to feel that we were all working together to protect ourselves from England when they had control over us and were making us do things that we didn't want to do. Okay, right now, we want our medicine, but we want it to go further than that. We want legalization because we want to be able to use this plant in all of its proper components. We want it to be industrial. We want it to be medical. We want it to be spiritual. Okay, we want to use it for fuel. We want to use it for clothing. We want to use it for food. So let's do it. You know, but we have to have your help. So thanks to all those who came out over the weekend for the march.
That's right. The Spring Street Fair, University of Oregon, starts Wednesday, May 6th. It runs 6th, 7th, and 8th. Come by the booth. There'll be a booth there. Also come down to the Freedom Plaza across the Saturday Market on Saturday and say hi at the Cannabis Information booth there.
Excellent. Way to go, Dan.
You bet. We'll be flying the black flag with the green leaf. In fact, we have an image of that, and we didn't get that one shown. If we can pop that up, it'd be great. But look for the green flag, or the black flag with the green leaf. And never consent to a search. Remember that. Never consent to a search.
Reefer Medness. Okay, what is this? You folks can't be original. You have to copy from other things that are detrimental to us. Understand, Reefer Medness does nothing to help people understand cannabis.